Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me tmosso@the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions regarding this watch. Today we're discussing one of the coolest vintage timepieces to cross my desk in a long time. This is the Omega Constellation day and date from roughly 1987, an early example of the Griffin Claw or Manhattan constellation that came along from 1982 forward. It proves just how beautifully subtle, detailed, delicately handsome these early Griffin Claw Connies were. They would get bigger and bolder at the end of the 90s and eventually almost become caricatures of themselves during the 2000s. But in the early days, they were as handsome as anything, with a pie pan dial from the 1950s or the C cases from the 1960s. All in yellow gold. This watch is relatively compact, and I'm going to say because of the length of the bracelet, this is probably best regarded as a woman's watch, although as originally manufactured, that would not have been the case. It would have been considered a little bit more unisex. It is 33 in diameter, and then I measure it 7.3 millimeters thick, and from lug tip to lug tip, it's essentially a lugless case. It's 38 millimeters. Now you see why I describe this as a woman's watch, because I am a fairly compact wrist, but I have a hand as big as any guy, and so this watch can't actually get onto my wrist. Though you could see with the integration of the bracelet, if it ever had the ability to get on there, it would actually look tastefully compact, but not undersized. With the bracelet, it's got a lot of presence, especially everything being in gold. Now the case is made in Italy, and I think the manufacturer might be Lascor based on the signage, but don't hold me to that. I do know that the case is of Italian manufacture, and the dial is Lapis Lazuli, so there's a lot to love here. The bracelet is fully integrated. You can see the construction, handsome down to the last detail, subtle, supple, gorgeous with the contrast between polish and satin. And then the clasp internally has a little sliding mechanism that makes it easier to don and remove, and you can see there's a single trigger release. Taking a look internally, you can see the hallmarks. Let me try to slow this down a little bit so you can see it. There we go. The hallmarks, as well as the reference number of the bracelet and clasp. What I'm going to emphasize here is that the internal of the clasp is made of traditional white gold. That is, white gold that normally would be rhodium plated, but it's used here because white gold is harder than yellow gold. So these very fine, mechanically articulated sliding and folding components were made out of white gold to make them stronger so they would not break over time. And of course, they're unseen when the bracelet is on the wrist. But this is what white gold, traditional white gold, looks like without rhodium plating. It's not as colorful as yellow or rose, but it is much warmer in tone than the rhodium plated or even gray gold. Taking a look at the case, very simple. We have the Griff or Griffin claws that are little brackets framing the dial. And then this is a little bit like the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Owl. In fact, I think some people might casually assume that is exactly what you're wearing if they look at this. You can see that the case is in excellent shape, that the character lines are still quite sharp on side to side and end to end. It has likely been refinished to some degree in its existence, though the material remains full, symmetrical, and the form distinct. You can see that the lacquering inside the numerals on the bezel speaks to careful use over time, as it hasn't been worn down, and the bezel itself hasn't been scratched or gouged. Now, the lapis dial is gorgeous, and yes, those hands are original factory tritium. We have the day and we have the date. Now, the watch has hacking and a quick set for the date itself. It is a quartz movement inside the case. There's not a whole lot to see on the case back, but I can tell you what's in there. It is an Omega caliber 1445, which is based on an ETA 255-472. It is an extremely high-grade luxury quartz movement. 6 jewels with a 2 to 3 year power reserve. It's got the quick set for the date. It has the hacking seconds function. It has an end of life indicator, so when the battery reaches the end, it'll start jumping in 5-second increments. It also is a very thin and compact movement, 2.6 millimeters thick and 23.3 in diameter. And it is a thermocompensated movement, which is a superior and very refined and unusual feature on quartz movements that really separates the wheat from the chaff. Moreover, there is a manual quartz trimmer built into the movement so that adjustments can be made over the decades to account for the drift of the quartz crystal. So a very sophisticated movement, this ETA 255-472 in Omega spec. It is watchmaker assembled, serviced, and regulated. So this is a luxury product inside and out. And it really should force people to re-examine their assumptions about whether quartz is luxury. In a watch like this, decades removed from its original manufacture, not only is that movement doing yeoman duty, but the watch itself is in fantastic shape and ready for its next set of 3 odd decades and more. Reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.